Hi, welcome to English Hamster. Are you learning English? Great. Here we learn through stories. They are simple and interesting. You can improve English while learning knowledge. Remember to subscribe, like and comment. Let's get started.
Hello, everyone. In today's article, I want to share Priya's journey of learning English, from not knowing any words to speaking with confidence. Priya grew up in a small town where English wasn't spoken often, and at first, Priya felt lost when she heard people speaking it. But with determination, patience, and hard work, Priya was able to learn and become fluent in English. Priya knows it can feel overwhelming to start learning a new language, but she wants to show you that it's possible. Through simple steps, daily practice, and a little courage, anyone can do it. I hope Priya's story inspires you to keep going in your own language learning journey. So, let's dive in and see how Priya went from having no words to confidently speaking English. Hi, I'm Priya, and this is my story about learning English. I grew up in a small town in India where people didn't speak English very often. When I was young, I didn't know even a single word in English. The first time I heard people speaking in English, it felt like they were talking in another language from a different world. The words sounded strange, and I couldn't understand them. I felt lost and wished I could be part of that world. It made me feel like I was on the outside, watching everyone else have fun and talk easily with each other. But things changed when I decided I wanted to learn. It was not easy, but with a lot of hard work, I eventually became fluent in English. Now, I can speak English with confidence, understand TV shows, read books, and even write my own stories. But let me take you back to when everything first started. I remember the very first time I saw English on TV. It was during a movie, and the actors were talking in English. They were laughing, sharing jokes, and enjoying their time, but I didn't understand a word. It made me feel like I was missing out on something important. I wanted to laugh with them, to understand what they were saying, but the language barrier made me feel so different from everyone else. That was when I realized that if I wanted to be part of that world, I had to learn English. In school, English was just another subject for me. My teacher would write words on the board and say them out loud, but they sounded so strange to my ears. I would sit quietly and listen, hoping no one would notice that I couldn't understand. I was too afraid to speak up. My classmates seemed to get it. They repeated the words and formed sentences, but I didn't know how to join in. I was scared that if I said something wrong, everyone would laugh at me. So I stayed quiet, not wanting anyone to see that I was struggling. One day, something changed in my heart. I made a decision that would change everything. I decided I was going to learn English, no matter how difficult it seemed. I wanted to understand the movies I loved, talk to my friends, and do better in school. It wouldn't be easy, but I promised myself that I would try my best. The first step I took was talking to my parents. I told them I wanted to learn English, and they were so supportive. They encouraged me and told me that learning a new language was a wonderful idea. They said I should start small, taking it one step at a time. Their support gave me the push I needed to get started. I began with the basics, learning the alphabet. Every day I wrote the letters A, B, C, and so on. At first, my handwriting wasn't very neat. Some letters were too big, some were too small, and some were almost unrecognizable. But I didn't give up. I practiced over and over again until the letters started to look just right. It was a small victory, but it made me feel proud. Each time I got a letter correct, I felt a little more confident and excited to keep going. Next, I moved on to simple words like cat, dog, and apple. These were words I saw every day, which made learning them easier. I made flashcards with pictures of these words, so every time I saw the flashcard, I could connect the word to the picture. I would say the word out loud, and soon it felt natural to call a cat, and an apple. These small steps made me feel like I was making real progress. I set aside time every day to practice. No matter how tired I was or how much I wanted to play with my friends, I made sure I studied for a little while each day. I knew that if I wanted to speak English fluently, I had to keep going, no matter how difficult it was. Slowly but surely, I started to understand more. I could form simple sentences like I am Priya and this is a book. These sentences were basic, but to me, they felt like huge steps forward. As time went on, I began speaking English with my friends. They were patient with me, always ready to correct me when I made a mistake. At first, speaking out loud was scary. I was so afraid of saying something wrong that I barely spoke. But over time, I realized that mistakes were okay. They were part of the learning process. The more I spoke, the more confident I became. With each conversation, I grew a little less shy and a little more comfortable speaking English. Reading and listening were also big parts of my journey. I started reading simple books for children. The sentences were short and easy to understand, and the pictures helped me follow the story. I would read out loud, practicing each word until it sounded just right. I still remember the first children's book I read. It was about a rabbit and a turtle having a race. The turtle was slow, but because it didn't give up, it won the race. The story was easy to understand, and it made me feel so proud that I had read it in English. Listening to English songs was another fun way I practiced. I would sing along, even if I didn't know all the words. At first, it was difficult to understand everything, but with time, I started to recognize the words I knew. One of my favorite songs was Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. It was simple, and the words repeated, so it was easy to remember. Little by little, I started learning new words from songs, and it made the process of learning English feel less like work and more like fun. Watching cartoons was another helpful tool. The characters spoke slowly, and the stories were simple to follow. I watched shows like Dora the Explorer and Peppa Pig. They helped me practice listening and understanding English in a way that felt natural. The characters used simple words and phrases, and I could follow along with the story easily. I would repeat the words and phrases I heard, practicing my pronunciation and learning new vocabulary. Writing was another important part of my journey. I started writing simple sentences like I like cats or it is sunny today. At first, writing was hard. Some words were difficult to spell, and I wasn't always sure if my sentences were correct. But I didn't let that stop me. I wrote every day, and slowly my writing got better. I used a dictionary to check my spelling and make sure I was using the right words. Over time, I felt more comfortable writing in English, and it became easier to express my thoughts on paper. Every day I kept practicing. I didn't try to learn everything at once. I focused on small steps, taking my time and building a strong foundation. Slowly but surely, my vocabulary grew and so did my confidence. The more I practiced, the more I understood. I could now write longer sentences, have conversations, and even read short stories without feeling lost. One day, I joined an English club at school. We met once a week to practice speaking and reading. The group was made up of other students who were also learning English, and it was so much fun. We played games, read books together, and helped each other practice. I made new friends who were also learning English, and together, we supported each other. We would laugh when someone made a mistake and cheer each other on when we got something right. This club helped me practice speaking in a fun and relaxed way. I also started finding language partners online. These were people who were learning my language, and we helped each other practice. We would talk over video calls, sharing tips and correcting each other's mistakes. It was like having a study buddy who wanted to learn as much as I did. Speaking with these partners helped me improve my skills, and I started feeling more comfortable using English in real conversations. Whenever I didn't understand something, I wasn't afraid to ask for help. I asked my teacher, my friends, and even my parents. They were always happy to help me, explaining things in simple ways and giving me helpful tips. Asking for help was important because it reminded me that I wasn't alone in this journey. Learning English was something I could do, step by step, with the help of others. Learning English has opened so many doors for me. I can communicate with people from all over the world, understand more things, and feel confident in myself. Looking back, I am proud of how far I've come. But I also know that learning English is a journey that never really ends. There will always be more words to learn, new things to discover, and more ways to improve. I know that learning English has made a huge difference in my life. It has helped me connect with so many people, understand new ideas, and feel more confident. I am no longer afraid to speak, and I can express myself in ways I couldn't before. But this didn't happen overnight. It took time, patience, and a lot of hard work. I still remember the times when I felt frustrated and wanted to give up. There were moments when I thought it was too hard, when the grammar rules confused me, or when I couldn't remember the right word in the middle of a conversation. But I didn't let those moments stop me. I reminded myself that learning something new is never easy, and that making mistakes was just part of the process. One of the biggest challenges I faced was overcoming my fear of speaking. In the beginning, I was so shy. I didn't want to speak because I was afraid I would make a mistake and embarrass myself. I would often stay silent, even though I wanted to say something. But I learned that the only way to improve was to speak, even if I made mistakes. I started by speaking to myself, repeating sentences I had learned, and practicing out loud. It felt a little silly at first, but it helped me build confidence. Gradually, I became more comfortable with speaking, and now I enjoy it. To push myself further, I set small goals. Instead of aiming to speak perfectly right away, I focused on simple steps. My first goal was to introduce myself in English. When I did that, I felt a sense of accomplishment. Then, I set a new goal, to have a short conversation with a friend. Every small step I took brought me closer to my bigger goal of speaking fluently. I also began practicing with people who were learning English, just like me. We would have short conversations, and if I made a mistake, they would gently correct me. This made me feel less self-conscious because I knew they were also learning, and we were all in the same boat. I learned that it's okay to make mistakes as long as I keep trying. One of the things that really helped me was practicing every day. I didn't have to study for hours, but I made sure I spent some time each day reading, writing, listening, and speaking in English. I found that regular practice was the key to improvement. Whether I was reading a book, watching a TV show, or listening to a song, I tried to practice in a way that felt fun. This helped me stay motivated and made the learning process less stressful. Listening to podcasts and audiobooks became one of my favorite ways to practice. I loved listening to stories, and I could listen while I was walking or doing other things. At first, I couldn't understand everything, but over time, I started recognizing the words I knew. This helped me improve my listening skills and also my vocabulary. I would pause the podcast if I didn't understand something and look up the word. This helped me remember the word better for the next time. Another important part of my learning was writing. I started keeping a journal in English. At first, my sentences were very simple, like I am happy or today is sunny. But with time, I began writing longer sentences. I wrote about my day, my thoughts, and my dreams. Writing in my journal was a great way to practice what I had learned, and it also helped me improve my spelling and grammar. One of the things I loved about writing was being able to express myself in a new language. It felt like I was opening up a new part of myself. Even though my writing wasn't perfect, I felt proud of what I wrote because I was using English to tell my story. I also found that joining online groups and communities helped me a lot. There were language exchange groups where I could chat with people from all over the world. I would practice speaking English with them, and in return, they would practice speaking my language. This was a fun way to meet new people and improve my English. It also gave me the chance to learn about different cultures and make friends from different countries. One of the most exciting things about learning English is that I can now watch my favorite movies and TV shows without subtitles. At first, I could only understand a few words, but now I can follow the entire story. I remember the first time I watched a movie in English without subtitles. It was a huge moment for me because I realized just how much I had learned. Watching movies in English also helped me improve my listening skills, as I could hear how native speakers used the language in real-life conversations. I also started reading books in English. At first, I began with easy books like those for children. They were simple to understand, and I could learn new words as I read. As I improved, I began reading more complex books. Reading became one of my favorite hobbies, and I started to read more and more in English. The more I read, the better I became at understanding new words and expressions. Learning English opened up so many new opportunities for me. I could communicate with people from different countries, travel to places where English is spoken, and even find new job opportunities. But more importantly, learning English gave me confidence. I used to be afraid to speak, but now I feel proud of my ability to communicate in English. Looking back, I can see how far I've come. It hasn't been an easy journey, but every step has been worth it. I've learned so much, not just about English, but about myself. I've learned that with patience, practice, and a positive attitude, anything is possible. As I reflect on my journey, I realize that the most important lesson I've learned is that learning a new language is not about being perfect. It's about making progress, no matter how small, and embracing every mistake as part of the process. In the beginning, I was so afraid of making errors, but over time, I learned to see mistakes as opportunities to improve. It's a powerful lesson that I've carried with me throughout my life, not just in learning English, but in everything I do. One of the ways I continued to challenge myself was by setting new goals. Each time I achieved one, I set another. For example, after I was able to have a basic conversation in English, my next goal was to speak for longer periods without hesitation. After that, I wanted to speak more clearly and with better pronunciation. With each new goal, I felt my confidence grow, and I began to believe that I could achieve anything if I kept practicing. The support I received from my family and friends was also a key factor in my success. They cheered me on, celebrated my achievements, and never made me feel bad about my mistakes. Whenever I felt discouraged or frustrated, they reminded me how far I had come. This support helped me keep going, even on the days when I wanted to give up. I also learned that it's okay to take breaks. There were times when I felt overwhelmed by all the things I had to learn. But instead of pushing myself too hard, I took a step back and gave myself time to relax. This helped me recharge and come back to my studies with a fresh mindset. It's important to remember that learning a language is a marathon, not a sprint. It's okay to take things one day at a time. One of the most rewarding parts of learning English is the ability to connect with people from all over the world. I've made friends from different countries and cultures, and I've had conversations with people I never would have met if I hadn't learned English. It's amazing how a common language can bring people together and create new opportunities for friendship and collaboration. Over time, I began to see English as a tool rather than just a subject to be studied. I used it to learn new things, explore new ideas, and express myself in ways I never thought possible. It became a way for me to share my thoughts, tell my stories, and even help others. I realized that language isn't just about grammar and vocabulary, it's about communication. It's about connecting with others and understanding the world around you. As I continued practicing, I started feeling more confident about using English in different situations. Whether I was traveling, studying, or simply chatting with friends, I could express myself more easily. I could understand what others were saying, and I could respond without feeling nervous or unsure. This newfound confidence has helped me in so many areas of my life, and it's something I'll carry with me forever. Looking back, I can see how much I've grown. I've gone from not knowing a single word in English to becoming fluent. There were moments when I wanted to quit, when I felt like it was too hard. But I kept going, and now I'm proud of everything I've achieved. It hasn't always been easy, but it's been worth every step. If you're just starting your own language learning journey, I want to encourage you to keep going. Don't give up, even when it feels hard. Start with small steps and celebrate your progress along the way. It's okay to make mistakes, they are part of the process. Every time you make a mistake, you're learning and growing. Don't be afraid to speak, even if you're not perfect. The more you practice, the better you'll get. One of the most important things I've learned is that language learning is a lifelong journey. There will always be new words to learn, new phrases to master, and new ways to improve. But with each step you take, you'll feel more confident and capable. And the more you practice, the more you'll realize that English, or any language, is not just about speaking. It's about understanding the world and the people around you. Now that I can speak English fluently, I feel like the world is full of new possibilities. I can travel to different countries, connect with people from all walks of life, and explore new cultures. But I also know that my journey is not over. There's always more to learn, and that's what excites me. Every day is an opportunity to grow, and I'm looking forward to continuing this adventure. If you're on your own journey to learn English, I want you to know that you can do it. Take it one day at a time, practice as much as you can, and never be afraid to make mistakes. Every word you learn, every sentence you speak, brings you one step closer to your goal. So keep going, and remember that you're not alone. There are so many people around the world who are learning just like you. We're all in this together.
Hey, if you learned something new today, please give this video a like. Write your thoughts in the comments and subscribe to the channel. It only takes a second and it really helps to create more English videos for you. Thank you. See you next time. Bye.